So children, I am Safia Fernando, your science teacher, and I am here to start your new lesson, which is about heat and its effects. This is unit number 9 and I will be covering only a very small part of it so that you can answer all the questions that is available in your worksheet. So the next part of it, which is the contents that I am going to cover in this lesson. First, I will be talking to you about what is meant by temperature, and the next one is what is meant by heat and how heat can be produced. It means the heat generation methods, and I will be talking to you the different types of heat effects of the heat. But in this unit, in this presentation, I will be talking only about one effect of heat, which is the increase in temperature. So children, before talking to you about the heat and its effects, I must talk to you what is meant by temperature. So in this picture, what can you see? You can see a cube of ice. So children, when you touch a cube of ice, what can you feel? You can feel that it is cold. And think of an instance that you touch some fire accidentally. So sometimes your hands can get burnt. So you can feel the hotness of an object when you touch something which is hot. So temperature is the measure of how hot or cold an object is when it is compared to another object. So we must know how this temperature is measured. So in the laboratory, you find a special equipment which is called the thermometer. So temperature, it is measured using a thermometer. So in the picture, you can see what is a thermometer. It is a small glass tube. It's a narrow glass tube. So you can find a column of mercury. So we will see this when you come to school. So nowadays most of these thermometers, they are used oftenly. So why is it used? It is used to monitor the body temperature, no? So due to this COVID-19, they measure our body temperature as a precautionary step. Is that so? Yeah. The next part, do you know what is your body temperature, the normal body temperature of a human? So it is around 37 degrees Celsius. So if it is something more than this amount, you will be having fever, or if it is less than this also, you can be ill. Children, we are going to compare the temperatures at different places. So if you have a thermometer, you can measure the temperatures in the 3 different places that I have selected. So you can go under a tree. If you do not have a thermometer also, it's okay. Just you can feel the temperature or the amount of heat. Okay, the warmness you can feel. So you can compare the temperatures. You can have just an idea about. If you don't have a thermometer, it's okay. You can just have an idea about it. So you can go under a tree, and what can you feel under a tree? Is it somewhat cooler or is it hot? So just think, children. Then when you go to a playground, you know that a playground, there is plenty of sunlight falling on the playground. So what can you feel, children? You can feel that the place is very warm. Sometimes you start to sweat, and you can feel the amount of temperature, that it is somewhat comparatively, it is higher than the other 2 places. So if you have a thermometer also, you can just measure and see, children. And when you go near a pond also, you can feel some, just because there is some water, the area, the place is somewhat cooler. So moving to the next slide. So we are going to compare and just see that this our body temperature, whether it changes with the temperature. So we know that there are two types of animals, children. They are the warm-blooded animals and the cold-blooded animals. So we are mammals. Mammals, they are humans. So our body temperature does not change when we go from one place to another. There are different mechanisms in our body so that we can adapt to the temperature. So as I told you, who are mammals? For example, they are the humans, the polar bears. So their body temperature, it stays the same when it is cold or hot outside. Okay, got it? Yeah. Then the next one, the cold-blooded animals. So in cold-blooded animals, they are the reptiles. Reptiles, just think of a snake. It's a reptile. The lizards and amphibians, they can live both in water and in land. So just think of an example. Yeah, so in this picture also they have mentioned a frog. So their body temperature, it depends whether it is cold or hot outside. That means their body temperature can change from place to place. So children, we know that the different areas of the earth, they receive different amounts of sunlight. So the temperature, it's different in different places of the earth. So you know that closer to the equator, you find countries that have very high temperatures. They have extremely hot temperatures. Extremely means you cannot bear the temperature in some countries. So just think of a desert area. The temperature is very extremely hot. So just think of the areas, the polar regions of the earth, they are very cold. So do people live in this polar region? So in fact, people, they cannot bear the temperatures when it is very cold or very hot. So there are but certain animals and all living there. So these animals, they have to have certain adaptations to bear the body, to keep the body temperature warm. So that now in this picture you can see there is a polar bear. So the polar bear lives in extremely cold areas. So you know that the polar bears, they live in the polar regions. So do you know how the polar bear is adapted to bear these cold conditions? So it is so cold, so therefore to retain the amount of heat in its body, the polar bear, it has different adaptations. So you can see it has a very thick fur coat. So think, when it is cold, you wear a jersey. The same like that, the polar bear also, it has a very thick fur coat which will help it to retain the warmth of its body, the heat of the body. So, and also they have a thick layer of fat beneath the skin, so that it will help them to keep their warmth throughout the cold. So these are the main adaptations that are shown by the polar bears for the extremely cold areas. So next one we will be talking to you, it's about the extremely hot areas. As I told you, the desert areas, the deserts, they are the very hot places in the earth. So you know there are certain animals that live in these hot areas. So they are the camels. You know that the camel, it's the ship of the desert. So let us see how the camel is adapted to live in such a hot, dry climate. So we can see that in this picture, the camel, it's a very large animal. Therefore it's called the ship of the desert, and you can see a hump on its back. So do you know that what is there in the hump? the fat. The fat is stored in the hump, and also there are certain water also is stored in the hump, so that it will reduce the overheating. So you know that there are other special adaptations also in order to reduce the loss of heat, so that their urine and all is also very concentrated, so that little water will pass in them. So you can see that their legs and all are very thin and long. This will increase the surface area, so that it will increase the heat loss from the body. So children, we know that plants too need heat for their growth. So for the germination of the seeds, you can see that plants, they need this warmness. That means they need the certain amount of heat for their growth. So the warmness and the amount of moisture is very important for them for growth, so that they can be a healthy plant. Now we'll learn what is meant by heat. So you know that heat, it's just a form of an energy. It's just a type of an energy. So if there is energy, there can be an ability to do work also, so that it can be used to increase the temperature of objects. So you can see when you heat water using your gas stove, what happens? The temperature of the water, it increases, therefore only it starts to boil. So you can see the water bubbling. So this is because of the heat. So we know that there are other sources to produce heat. Anything that gives off heat, it can be named as a source of heat. So we know that the sun, it is the main source of our heat. So there are other fuels that produce heat, such as the firewood, the coal, gas. I will talk about these things as we move in our presentation, children. So children, I will be talking to you how heat can be generated. That means how the heat can be produced. The first one is by rubbing two things together. So rubbing two surfaces of some substances through the mechanical action, that means through the friction that is created, you will be able to produce heat. So no need to learn the big terms. So by rubbing two surfaces or two things together, you can produce heat. So just rub your palms together. So what can you feel? You can just produce some warmth. So in cold places and all, when we go to a cold place or when you feel warm, very cold, what do? You rub your hands. This will generate some heat, so that it will help you to keep yourself warm. So by rubbing your palms, so we know that ancient people, they used to rub the stones to get the fire. So heat can be produced by rubbing two surfaces of substances of two different things together. So the next one, other method how heat can be generated or heat can be produced is by burning fuels. So we know that fuels, they are the coal, the firewood, the oil, the natural gases, the petrol, kerosene, diesel, LP gas, the natural gas or any biogas, anything, children, they are called as fuels. They are burned to produce fire, so that it can generate heat. So this heat can be generated by electricity, so that you know that the heat can be generated when the electric charges, they get collected in them. So this can be seen in the hot plates, the electric irons, the electric water heaters. They convert the electricity to produce heat, so that you can use. The next activity, which is activity 9.4. So we are going to make a heating coil. I hope you all have seen heating coils. They are available in different electrical appliances that are present at home. Just observe and see, children. So you can see in an electric kettle you find a heating coil that will produce heat. So in a heating coil the electrical energy will be converted into heat. So we will make a similar heating coil. So what do we need to make the heating coil? So children, you need a very thin enameled copper wire. Just cut it about 30 centimeters, and you need a paper cutter and 2 dry cells, a pencil. So now let us see how we are going to make this heating coil. For you can wind the wire which around the pencil so that it will be overlapped one upon the other, and you can clean the 2 ends of the terminals ends of the wire so that you can connect it to the terminals of the battery of the 2 dry cells as shown in the picture. You can do the same thing, and you can just check, observe whether the coil is getting heated. Do this very carefully, children. So you can record your observations and make a conclusion also. So after 2 minutes, what can you observe? You can see that the coil gets heated. So children, better do this. All these things, they are at home. You can prepare it. When you come to school, you must bring this and come. So the same principle you can see in the heating coil in your electrical appliances at home. The electric kettle, as I told you, children. Then you know that, children, the heat that is produced by rubbing certain substances or any other way can be disadvantageous. That means it is not of use. So I will just talk to you about this. So we know that some heat that is produced will reduce the functioning of some machines, and it will lose the shape of different objects. So sometimes the objects, they do not, the machines and all, they will stop their functioning, and it will consume a lot of fuel. Children, I will talk to you how we can use solar energy. As I told you, the sun is the main source of energy. In a country like Sri Lanka, we can get plenty of sunlight. So the sunlight, it can be used in a very useful way in solar panels. So you know that it is environmentally friendly, and it's just an abundant source. So in the solar panels, what happen, you know, this absorbs the amount of sunlight, the solar energy that is fallen upon. It's used for converting it into electrical energy. Electricity, it is used to produce electricity, as well as it is used to heat, used for heating also, children. So children, let us do activity 9.3. So we will make use of the solar energy to create a model of a solar water heater. So you are going to make a solar water heater. So is this interesting? Yes, of course. So children, better make this. So you can make it and bring it to school when you come to school. So children, better make it, and sometimes I might take this as an assignment also. So children, better make this model so that you can make a solar water heater at home for your use. So children, let us see what you need. So the materials that is needed to make this solar water heater. You need a cardboard box. So you have cardboard boxes at home. You can just take one cardboard box, and you can take it without the lid, children. So you do not need a lid. Then you need a flexible plastic tube. So the plastic tube only we are wrapping around the PVC pipe. So you can see somewhat a big pipe and a small tube like. So you need a pair of scissors. You need if you have a glass sheet, you can use it. Otherwise, don't worry, children. You can use just a transparent plastic sheet. So it's transparent plastic polythene you can use that. So, and you need aluminium foil paper, that also you have at home or you can get it from the shop, and a PVC pipe which is about 25 centimeters long and 4 centimeters in diameter. So you can measure and cut it and take. So let us see how we are going to make this model. So just take the cardboard box first. The first step is you have to take the cardboard box and you can make 2 holes in the box as it is shown in the picture. So the 2 holes must be equal in size and it must be equal to the diameter of the plastic tube. So children, make sure that you can insert the plastic tube through it. Then after that, what can you do? The next step is that you have to paste the aluminium foil in the inside of the box. Okay. Then after that you have to wind the plastic tube around the PVC pipe. You can wind it and you can make it stick using gum or something. Then after that, children, you have to paint the plastic tube, the PVC tube with black color paint, and the cardboard that you stuck the aluminium foil, you have to paint that in also black color paint. Then after that, what you have to do is that you have to fix the PVC pipe on the cardboard box vertically straight. That means you have to fix it very straight. Then you can paste the plastic sheet or the glass sheet instead of the cover lid of the cardboard box. Then what you have to do, you have to keep this, what you made, the model, you have to keep it in direct sunlight until it gets heated. Then after that, what you can do, you can just connect one end of the pipe of the flexible plastic tube to the tap. So what happens, in the other end you will be able to get hot water, children. So better do this at home, record your observations, and you have to bring this to school when you come. Okay, children? You about the instances where solar power is used at home. So it is used in solar cookers. Solar cookers, it is used to cook our food. So you can see in the picture how the solar cooker is used to cook food. And the solar air conditions, there are then the solar dryers. So you can see that these are the instances where solar power is used at home. So children, let me talk to you about the other sources of energy that are used to produce heat. They are the coal. So you know what is coal, and oil, natural gas, wood, kerosene. So these sources of energy, they are used as in addition to the main source of energy. We know that the main source of energy is the sun. Other than that, you know, the other sources of energy, they are shown in the picture. So this can be a question for your exam also. So better study these sources of energy. Let me talk to you about the effects of heat. We must know sometimes this is very useful. Okay, then first the first effect of heat is the increase in temperature. You can see in the picture when we heat water, a pan of water is being heated on the stove. So what can you see? You can see after sometimes the water, the temperature of the water, it increases, the water starts to bubble. No? So the next effect of heat is expansion. Just think, children, you are unable to open a very tight, clip-fixed lid of a bottle, just a bottle. Then what can you do? You can heat it, hold it onto the flame, and you can heat it so that the lid of the glass bottle, it will expand and you can remove the lid very easily. The next effect of heat is the changes in the states of matter. So just take a cube of ice from your refrigerator and just keep it out. So what can you observe? You can observe after some time the ice cube, it will melt and it will form just water. So this is the change of the states of matter. And the color change, have you seen? Just think, you kept a face cream that you used for your face outside without covering it, and all due to the temperature, what happens? The change in color of the cream can be observed. So these are some effects of heat. Okay children? I will be talking to you about the next effect of heat, which is the increase in the temperature. So children, we will do a simple activity to observe the increase in temperature. So this is one of the effect of heat. You will be doing it at school in your laboratory. So the aim of the practical, it is to observe how the temperature of the water is being changed. So to do this activity, you will need a beaker of water, a tripod stand. So why do we use a tripod stand? So we are placing the beaker on top of the tripod stand so that it will spread the heat equally to the beaker, so that all the water particles, the water molecules, they will be equally heated in the beaker. So we use a spirit lamp and a thermometer. You know the thermometer is used to measure the temperature. I have shown it in the picture children. So this is the thermometer. So this is the thermometer. And children, now let us see how we are going to do this activity. First you have to set up the apparatus like this shown in the picture. You have to use a tripod stand. You have to fix the thermometer to the laboratory stand that is in your lab, and you have to fill the beaker with water, and you have to insert the thermometer into the beaker of the water. Then what you are going to do is you have to light the spirit lamp, and after some time what you can observe, you have to record your observations and your conclusions. So what can you observe children? So you can observe that after some time you can see that when you supply heat using the spirit lamp, so what happens children? The temperature of the water, what happens? It will increase. So as the temperature of the water increases, you will be able to observe the boiling, the water boiling. So you can see that the mercury column in the thermometer, what will happen? The temperature of it will increase, so that you can observe a rise in the column of the thermometer. So children, so what happens when you remove this spirit lamp away? So when you remove the spirit lamp away, what happens? The temperature slowly, the water in the beaker, it will cool. So you can find a drop in the thermometer reading. So you can find a drop in the temperature, therefore you can find a drop in the thermometer reading. So you can see the temperature decreases as you remove the spirit lamp away. So children, we know that the amount of the heat of an object, it's the temperature, therefore it is measured using a thermometer. So similar way we use this principle to cook our food. So what happens when we cook our food? We increase the temperature of the food. So children, the conclusion that we can draw from this activity is that when heat is supplied, what happens? When heat is supplied, so heat is applied, what happens? The temperature, it increases. The temperature, it increases. When the heat is removed, what happens? The temperature, it decreases, as shown. So children, there's another small activity that you have to do. You can do this at home also. You can take two equal vessels. So in the lab, if you are doing, we use the beakers, but at home you can use two equal size vessels that are made up of the same material, and you can put equal amount of water and equal amount of coconut oil into them, and you can observe and see. You can heat them using two candles, and you can see that which one gets heated quickly. So children, you can observe. So just find out which heats quickly, whether it is water or coconut oil. So you have to find this out, children. Then you can identify that one of the material they heat, one will heat quickly than the other. So you know that even though both the beakers, they are heated equally, their temperatures, they have not increased in equal amounts. So that you can state that the temperature of equal amounts of the different substances, they differ even though the same amount of heat is given to them. So this is the conclusion that you can draw. So better find out which heats quickly. So this is the end of the presentation. So I hope you got an idea about heat and its effects. We did a very small part, children. We identified what is temperature, then we identified what is heat and the different types of ways in which heat can be produced, and we just I spoke about the effects of the heat, just one effect of heat, that is the increase in temperature. So children, I will be covering the other content in your next presentation next week, children, and also study the presentation very well so that it will be very easy to answer the worksheet. So children, you can write the answers for your worksheet in your notebook. So that will cover your note also, children. So this is the end of the presentation. So thank you for your kind patience, and children, stay safely and God bless you.